People saying it's get back, people saying a bunch of
That
things going
shit.
on.
Do you remember the day Los Angeles froze? The streets went silent, and every whisper carried the weight of a name, Nipsey Hussle. That name had become both a legend and a curse. Years later, Big U's son is dead, and the man who pulled the trigger drops a chilling confession. I did it for Nipsey. But what if this wasn't just revenge? What if it was the final move in a betrayal that's been brewing for over a decade? The tragedy, the confession, it's something the city can't shake. Halloween night in South LA wasn't meant to end like this. At exactly 11 p.m., under the flickering orange glow of the streetlights near West 69th Street and South Figueroa, gunshots ripped through the calm. Witnesses said it happened so fast, no one had a chance to react. Within seconds, Jabari Baby Henley, the 34-year-old son of Los Angeles icon Eugene Big U Henley, was sprawled outside a smoke shop, his life taken by multiple close-range shots. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner confirmed it. Multiple gunshot wounds, ruled a homicide. Police tried CPR on the scene, but Jabari was pronounced dead just minutes later at a nearby hospital. LAPD called it a targeted hit, but they kept the suspects and motives under wraps, leaving the city buzzing with fear and questions. The city couldn't believe it.
He was super cool, bro. Hilarious, and just had good vibes. Unfortunately, his son got shot and killed outside a smoke shop in the Hoover territory.
Big U, whose name carried power, respect, and controversy across every corner of LA, was locked up behind federal RICO bars when news of his son's murder hit him like a punch to the chest. The timing was merciless. His empire under federal investigation, his reputation already under fire, and now his family shattered, mourning a son taken by the very streets he once commanded. To an outsider, the intersection of 69th Street and Figueroa might look like any other block, but to anyone from South Central, that corner is legendary and feared. It's right in the heart of what locals call the Blade, a notorious stretch where nightlife, street hustling, and sudden bloody violence collide at any given moment. Every resident knows the stories, the fights, the shootings. It's a corner where respect and danger are always just a step apart. ABC 7 eyewitnesses confirmed the scene outside the Sunset Smoke Shop, right across from a tiny liquor store. The gunman pulled up in a vehicle, called out Jabari by name, and unleashed a storm of bullets straight from the driver's seat before speeding off into the night. Investigators quickly realized this wasn't random. It was personal. The city's homicide map was already flashing red, showing a spike in violence in that area.
Down to, like, you feel me, to the 60s, where unfortunately, I think this was at like 67th and Fig.
It says 69th.
69, okay, so.
One commentator in the transcript summed it up perfectly. That corner, he warned, is the most popping street on the Blade. And as tragic as it sounds, locals weren't shocked. That stretch had become a flashpoint for shootings over the past few months, with violence erupting block after block. Gang intervention workers had been ringing alarms to city officials, warning of rising tensions, but resources were limited and attention divided, leaving the streets to fend for themselves. So who was Jabari? Born in 1991, Jabari Baby Wee Henley grew up under the shadow of one of LA's most polarizing figures. His father, Big U, was a former Rollin' 60s Crips leader turned music mogul, credited with helping launch icons like Nipsey Hussle, Corrupt, and Ice Cube. Baby Wee tried to follow in his father's footsteps, but he carved out his own lane, managing artists through Unique Records, the same label Big U used to build Nipsey's early career. Friends remembered Jabari as disciplined, magnetic, and fiercely loyal, a man who could walk into any room and instantly light it up with laughter. But beneath that charm, he was pulled toward the streets that had defined his family name for decades. Those who knew him best said he was a young man stuck between two worlds: the legitimate music empire his father claimed to run, and the raw, unforgiving street culture that had shaped the Henley legacy for generations. According to Fox LA, Jabari had been working hard to clean up Unique Records' image after past investigations linked it to gang activity.
Look up all the murders in Los Angeles, that there's certain places right now that are not cool to hang out with out here. These places are hot.
But no matter how far he tried to run, his past shadowed him relentlessly. In 2021, he was named a person of interest in the Las Vegas murder of rapper Ray Sean, Leal R.W. Williams, whose body was later discovered in the desert. Jabari was never charged, but the case came back into the spotlight during his father's 2025 federal indictment, haunting him publicly and privately. Even so, friends and peers insisted he was turning a corner. Social media exploded with tributes from fellow artists, fans, and community members mourning his loss. His younger brother, Diane Henley, an NFL linebacker for the Los Angeles Chargers, found out about the shooting mid-game. Hours later, he took to Instagram, pouring out his grief. 2025 has brought me more pain than joy. I'm gonna make sure we straight, big bro. I got nephew, don't even worry about it. The pain, the legacy, the streets, it all collided in a single devastating moment. I love you. Allah blessed me with even one more night with my big brother. You forever we. That post went viral, sparking waves of sympathy across both sports and music communities. The contrast was striking. Diane Henley represented success through hard work, playing professional football and earning respect on the field, while his brother Jabari had battled to escape the gravitational pull of South Central streets. Their parallel lives showed just how different paths could be for young men from the same block, the same family, yet worlds apart. Inside the Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles, Big U received the news through a call from fellow inmate and music producer Luce Cannon, who later told TMZ he was heartbroken. Even behind bars, Big U's grief echoed across the city. Street blogs called it poetic justice. Others whispered revenge. On Twitter, hashtags like Dawa Tai Chalk for Nipsey lit up feeds, implying this was payback for old debts. Conspiracy spread like wildfire. Some claimed Nipsey Hussle's fans had orchestrated it. Others said rival sets struck while Big U was locked up. But law enforcement hadn't confirmed a single claim. The LAPD pointed out that the city's gang-related homicide rate had already jumped 34% over the previous year, fueled by social media beefs, turf wars, and post-pandemic poverty. Yet for those who truly knew the Henleys, this wasn't statistics, it was personal. It hit harder than anything a chart or report could capture. It wasn't just another shooting. It was a message, a wound carved deep into a family already carrying the weight of legacy and survival. As speculation swirled, detectives urged the city to stay calm. No suspects were in custody, and no clear motive had emerged. But the whispers only got louder. Rumors spread that Jabari's killer had ties to Nipsey Hussle, that this was for Nipsey, and soon those whispers would explode into a courtroom confession that shook LA to its core. The killer's words? Chillingly simple. I did it for Nipsey. The morning of November 7th, 2025, less than a week after Jabari Baby Henley's murder, Los Angeles woke to a headline that sent shockwaves across the city. Big U's son, suspected killer, arrested, confession, shocks courtroom. According to ABC7, LAPD's Southeast Division, working with the gang and narcotics units, detained 27-year-old Deshaun Lil Price Walters during a routine traffic stop in Compton. In the passenger seat of his gray Dodge Charger, detectives discovered a Glock 17 with the serial number scratched off, matching the shell casings recovered from the Sunset Smoke Shop crime scene. But it wasn't the gun that made the headlines. It was what Walters said when they read him his rights, a confession that would haunt the city months later. On February 21st, 2026, the Los Angeles Superior Court fell into stunned silence as Deshaun Walters stood before Judge Maria Lopez for sentencing, every eye in the courtroom fixed on him. Knowing that the truth behind Jabari's death and the chilling for Nipsey motive was finally about to be laid bare. Convicted of first-degree murder, Walters had remained stone-faced throughout the trial. But now, gripping the podium with hands that trembled like leaves in the wind, he finally spoke. According to the Los Angeles Times courtroom transcript, he said, "I know what I did was wrong. I know I took a life and I know his family is hurting. But I need everyone to understand I did it for Nipsey. Big U took someone we all loved, someone who repped our community, someone who tried to lift us up. And his son Jabari, he carried that same energy, that same name. I felt like it was justice. But now I realize I was just as wrong as anyone else." Every word hung heavy in the room, the air thick with shock, grief, and disbelief. For the Henley family, it wasn't just a confession, it was a reckoning, a brutal truth that cut deeper than any headline or rumor ever could. As Walters spoke, the courtroom became a storm of emotion. Spectators wept openly. Others shook their heads in disgust, unable to believe the weight of what they were hearing. His confession pulled back the curtain on the wild web of conspiracy theories that had gripped Los Angeles since Nipsey Hussle's death. For years, Social media had been a breeding ground for speculation about Big U's alleged involvement. Despite zero evidence linking him to the murder and Eric Holder's prior conviction, the rumors persisted, fueling obsession, anger, and fear across the city. Prosecutors argued Walters acted alone, driven by years of online conspiracy theories and street rumors linking Big U to Nipsey's death. Despite Eric Holder being convicted in 2022, many in LA refused to accept the official story. Social media posts tagged #DOM for NIPY had circulated for years, insisting Big U had orchestrated the murder or failed to protect Nip. Dr. Ramona Martinez, the prosecution's forensic psychologist, testified that Walters displayed signs of conspiratorial radicalization, a dangerous mix of obsession, isolation, and digital influence that had pushed him into violence. The courtroom sat in stunned silence as the full picture of obsession, grief, and warped loyalty unfolded. Dr. Martinez explained with clarity, Mr. Walters didn't wake up one day and decide to commit murder. This was a slow, creeping process, fueled by constant exposure to narratives that painted Big U as the ultimate villain in Nipsey Hussle's story. Over time, those narratives became his reality, and he felt he had no choice but to act. Judge Lopez then addressed Walters directly, delivering a sentence of 35 years to life. Her words carried the weight of a larger reckoning with society itself. Nipsey Hussle stood for peace, entrepreneurship, and uplifting the community. To invoke his name while committing murder is the ultimate betrayal of his legacy. You have not honored him. You have dishonored everything he worked for, and you have stolen another family's son, their brother, their future, she said, her voice heavy with both anger and sorrow. She continued, this court has seen many tragic cases, but few as senseless as this one. You killed an innocent man based on internet rumors and street gossip. You destroyed multiple families because you trusted conspiracy theories over facts. You turned a man of peace into your excuse for violence. That is not justice, Mr. Walters. That is murder. Plain and simple. To understand how Jabari Henley's murder became tangled with Nipsey Hussle's legacy, we need to rewind to the start of their story. Eugene Big U Henley was already a towering figure in South Los Angeles long before he stepped fully into the music world. As a high-ranking member of the Rollin' 60s Crips, he commanded respect and fear in equal measure. But in the early 2000s, Big U began shifting gears, pivoting toward the music industry and founding Unique Records as a legitimate business venture. His first major breakthrough came through Nipsey Hussle. Born Ermias Askedam in 1985, Nipsey grew up in Crenshaw, where gang life and hip-hop were inseparable. Even as a teenager, Nipsey showed serious promise as a rapper, but he didn't have the connections to break into LA's competitive scene. That's when Big U stepped in. According to Complex magazine, around 2005, Big U became Nipsey's mentor, hooking him up with producers, booking studio time, and lending street credibility that opened doors across the city. Their partnership was symbiotic. Nipsey gained resources and protection, while Big U gained a rising star who could legitimize Unique Records. In return, Nipsey's rise reflected directly on Big U, showing that his pivot from street life to legitimate business wasn't just talk, it was working. They collaborated on multiple projects, with Big U running the business side while Nipsey poured himself into his music. Friends from that era describe a bond that went beyond contracts. Big U treated Nipsey almost like a son, and Nipsey looked to him for guidance, both professional and personal. But by 2010, cracks were starting to show. Sources say tensions grew over money, creative control, and the direction of Nipsey's career. Everything came to a head in 2012 with what insiders called the parking lot incident. According to a detailed Reddit thread corroborated by witnesses, Nipsey and his brother Black Sam confronted Big U in a Crenshaw parking lot. Words were exchanged, voices raised, and Nipsey demanded to be released from his obligations to Unique Records. Big U reportedly felt betrayed, viewing Nipsey's push for independence as a slap after years of support. The split wasn't just business, it was personal, spiritual, and political. In interviews afterward, Nipsey avoided naming names but made it clear he was done with the old systems. That parking lot confrontation symbolized a philosophical break as much as a professional one. Nipsey wanted full control over his destiny, while Big U believed his early investment gave him a continuing stake. In a 2013 Breakfast Club interview, Nipsey explained cryptically, You got to separate business from the streets. You can't bring both mentalities to the same table. That's when everything gets confusing. Fans read it as a veiled jab at Big U, and the rift soon became well known across Los Angeles hip-hop circles. By 2016, whispers were swirling that Nipsey's meteoric rise came with a hidden cost, that even as he built his empire, he was still paying dues to certain Crenshaw figures for protection and access. Multiple YouTube documentaries and podcasts traced this alleged extortion network straight to Big U's name. None of these allegations were proven in court until Big U's 2025 RICO indictment. But perception had already hardened into reality for many. The indictment painted a picture of a sprawling network of intimidation and extortion, allegedly run by Big U and his associates, targeting everyone from local business owners to visiting celebrities. Publicly, Big U maintained the persona of a reformed gang member turned community advocate. He appeared at youth programs, spoke on podcasts about gang intervention, and presented himself as a man who had successfully left the streets behind, yet the shadow of his past and his continued influence over certain neighborhoods never fully faded. By the late 2000s, Nipsey and Big U lived in the same city but operated in very different worlds. Nipsey held business meetings with the mayor's office and city developers, pushing reinvestment initiatives and STEM programs. Big U managed artists and expanded his gang intervention efforts, though questions about his methods lingered. Publicly, they downplayed their tensions. Privately, however, mutual acquaintances told hip-hop news outlets that the wounds never healed. The friction wasn't openly hostile, but it was always there, an undercurrent running through LA hip-hop that everyone knew about, even if few spoke of it. When Jabari "Baby Wee" Henley was gunned down on Halloween 2025, those old rumors and whispered resentments came back to life. Deshaun Walter's courtroom confession, "I did it for Nippy," wasn't born in isolation. It was the result of years of street legends, conspiracy theories, and a tangled legacy linking a father, a mentor, and a fallen icon. It all grew from more than a decade of speculation, lyrics, podcast debates, and the hazy line between fact and folklore. Every rumor that Big U had blood on his hands became, in someone else's mind, a justification, a motive to take his son's life. Reflections on legacy and loyalty cut deep in Los Angeles. In this tragic arithmetic, vengeance is never random, it's inherited. A former associate told LA Weekly, "The city turned them into symbols. Nipsey became the light. Big U became the shadow. You can't kill one without the other haunting you." Today, murals of Nipsey still line Crenshaw Boulevard, and kids wear marathon hoodies, often unaware of who Big U was or what he meant to Nipsey's rise. But those who lived it know the truth. The very loyalty that built their bond also destroyed it. Jabari's death wasn't just a family tragedy. It exposed the dangerous power of narrative in the digital age, where conspiracy theories take on lives of their own and can shape real-world violence. Deshaun Walters didn't wake up one morning and decide to kill Jabari Henley. He was radicalized over years, consuming social media posts, YouTube videos, and street rumors painting Big U as the villain in Nipsey's story. What makes this case chilling is how modern technology amplified age-old patterns of revenge. In earlier generations, beef stayed local, contained within neighborhoods, known only to those involved. Social media changed the rules. Conspiracy theories now spread worldwide in hours, reaching impressionable minds thousands of miles away. Street politics that once required face-to-face dealings now went viral, mutating and intensifying with every share and repost. Walters had never met Nipsey Hussle. He had never met Big U. He had certainly never met Jabari Henley. Yet through the alchemy of social media, he felt connected to all three, personally invested in their story, and compelled to act. This marks a fundamental shift in 21st century street justice. The truth, however, is far more complicated than any viral narrative can capture. Big U and Nipsey's relationship was one of mentorship, business, pride, and betrayal. Neither man was purely hero nor villain. They were products of a system that rarely allows second chances or clean breaks. In the streets, debts are never fully repaid, and loyalty is measured in blood. But love and pride don't mix well in the streets. That single line sums up a tragedy that began in 2008 and never truly ended. Because when Nipsey died, his marathon didn't stop. It simply changed runners. And when Jabari was killed, the finish line blurred into something unrecognizable. Los Angeles will never forget their names, but it will forever debate what those names mean. For some, Nipsey Hussle represents liberation, entrepreneurship, and the possibility of breaking cycles. His Marathon clothing store became a beacon of Black economic empowerment. His investments in STEM programs and local initiatives showed a path forward for the community. And his music? It became the soundtrack of ambition, resilience, and hope for countless fans. For others, Big U represents the complicated reality of street power, the price of loyalty, and the impossibility of fully leaving the past behind. His story shows how the very skills that make you survive in one world can become liabilities in another, and how the same community that lifts you can also hold you back. But for those who lived in the middle of their war, both men show the same harsh truth. Loyalty in the wrong hands becomes a weapon. Protection can turn into control. Mentorship can morph into manipulation. And in South Central Los Angeles, the line between love and violence has always been dangerously thin. The bigger question now, will the next generation learn from these tragedies or repeat them? Will they honor Nipsey's true legacy of economic empowerment and community investment, or get trapped in stories of revenge and street justice? Will they see Big U's story as one of transformation and complexity, or reduce decades of history to hashtags and conspiracy theories? These questions matter because the cycle continues. Even as this story is told, young men in South LA are watching, absorbing lessons from Jabari Henley's murder. Some will see caution, the dangers of conspiracy theories and misplaced loyalty. Others may see proof that old debts must be paid, that street justice is real, and that the children must answer for the sins of their fathers. As Deshaun Walters sits in prison for the next 35 years, he has nothing but time to reflect on what his actions truly accomplished. He didn't honor Nipsey. He didn't bring justice. He didn't balance any scales. He simply added another name to Los Angeles' endless list of senseless murders and robbed a father of a son he loved deeply. The marathon continues, as Nipsey's fans often say, but toward what? More violence and revenge? Or the economic empowerment and community building that Nipsey actually stood for? The answer will determine whether their deaths meant anything at all. In the end, 3 families were destroyed. The Asgodums, who lost Hermes, the Henleys, who lost Jabari, and the Walters, whose son will spend most of his life behind bars. The streets claimed them all in different ways, for different reasons. But the result is the same. Mothers crying, brothers grieving, children growing up without fathers. And somewhere in South Central, another young man is watching, learning, deciding which lessons to carry forward. The question is, what will he choose? Thanks for watching. If you want to see more stories like this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and check out the other videos on your screen for even more deep dives into hip-hop, street legends, and the tragedies that shape their legacies.